Okay, guys, so I'm going to walk you through the steps for lesson 7.18. So you should have already typed it out, and it will look like this whenever you have it typed out. This is a check, kind of like a checkbook. It's showing the check register. So when you have your bank account, how much is in it after I've deposited amounts and after I've withdrawn amounts from checks and things like that. So this is what it looks like. And then you're going to go ahead and save it to your computer and save it as checkbook and in the your BIM folder. So save it as checkbook. Go ahead and save it in there. And then we'll start making edits to it. So the first thing it wants you to do is go ahead and take those column headings up here, and we are going to bold them. So you can just use Control B, or you can use the bold button up here, but bold those column headings. Next, what we're going to do is this balance column right here is we're going to use a formula to calculate how much money do I have in my account after each time going forward. So, and I missed my beginning balance here, 547.96. Let's see, 547.96. Okay, so here's my beginning balance. Okay, that's how much I started with. In this first cell right here, in cell F3, we are going to calculate the balance after the check has been withdrawn. So we started with 547. So now in F3, I'm going to do equal sign. I always start a formula with equals. I'm going to take my beginning balance that I started with, and a withdrawal comes out of it. So I'm paying my car payment. If you look to see what it is, check number 123 is a car payment. So I'm going to subtract out that amount from my balance. So now I have $358.32. In the next cell, you notice that we have a deposit. So on a deposit, that is my paycheck, and so that's adding money to my account. So I do equals, and I take my previous balance that I just found because it's already taken the car payment out, and I'm going to add a deposit. Add that one right there. And so now in my bank account, I have $1,222.65. So next, in cell F5, if you notice, it says compute the balance after check number 124, but it's having you add and subtract here in this formula. The reason is going down. If I was to just autofill this down, it's only going to be autofilling, adding in the deposits. Okay, but what happens if I have a withdrawal? It won't withdraw it. It will only go through and add this column. So we need to create a formula that will add the deposits column and withdraw and subtract this column. So if one of them is left blank, so if I look here, okay, it's only going to add something because it only has something here. And one of these, if there's nothing in this column, it won't add anything, but it will subtract this column. So I'm going to say equals. I'm going to take my previous balance right here. I am going to add my deposits amount. Now notice the cell is blank, so it's not going to actually add anything. But that way, when I carry the formula down, if there is something in those cells, it will add it. And I'm going to subtract my withdrawals. So it's adding cell D5 and subtracting cell E5. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter, and then now my balance is $1,189.36. Okay, and I'm going to look at the formula again. I'll show you it is taking previous balance. It's adding this blank amount, so it wouldn't add anything, but it does subtract this amount. So I'm going to autofill this all the way down. So now when I carry that balance down, okay, let's check this one. It is adding a blank cell, and it's subtracting this withdrawal amount. Okay, if I look at this one, it is adding the 864, but it's subtracting nothing because there's nothing in that cell. So that's why you needed to do kind of both in one step. Okay, so that's one way to do it, and we carried it down to cell F17. So we autofilled all of these. Okay, so that's one way kind of doing formulas. You're adding and subtracting there. And then in cell D18, we are going to compute the total of all the deposits by using the equals sum. So I'm going to show you a couple ways. Yesterday, we just added stuff up. We just said this cell plus this cell plus this cell plus this cell. And we just individually added up cells. But if we do our total amount down here, so down here total, we're trying to do total of deposit. Another way to quickly add things up, especially if they're next to each other, like one column or one row, is you just do equals sum. So you can type in Word, and it does different functions. So these are all different functions. If you look, you need to find the one that you need, which is just that sum. So I'm going to double click it and it will open up with parentheses. So when you have a function like this with words, then you have to make sure it's starting it by opening the parentheses. So we have equals sum, open parentheses, and now it's saying, okay, what do you want to add up? That's essentially what it's saying. It's saying, I'm going to add something. What do you want to add? And it's saying number one, number two, all that kind of stuff. Well, I can just select a whole section of numbers. So all of these, even though some of them are blank, that's fine. If I ever go back and add a number though, then it will update my total. So I'm just selecting all of those, and then I can either close the parentheses right here to end it, or if you do just to enter, then it closes it for you. Okay, so there's my total. That's for all the deposits. That's one way to do it, an equals sum formula. Another way to do it in cell E18, we're going to total up all the withdrawal amounts. How many checks did I have to write and how many payments did I have to make? So we're going to compute it using the AUTOSUM formula. So if I come up here to my formulas tab, okay, this is where you can open up and insert a function and type things in. Okay, there's also just this simple button right here that if you just need to auto sum things up, okay, it's going, if I click it, look, it starts my sum formula, but it takes everything right above it. Now, the reason it only does those three is because the next cell is blank, so it stops at a blank cell. But I can come up here and change it. I take the corner of it and I drag it kind of like you would a shape if you're inserting a shape, and I drag it all the way up so it does include everything. Otherwise, it's just going to do those three, but I want to include the whole column. And so it does it for you. The AUTOSUM basically does the same thing we just did. It's just a quick button instead of having to type it out. But make sure it includes that whole column, then you press enter, and there's our total. Now we are going to display our formula, and we are going to make sure all of our print settings are good. So let's go ahead and display the formula. So right now I see all my answers. Okay, here's our total balance. Here's our total deposits, withdrawals. And we are going to come up here to the formulas tab where we were. And over on the far right, there's one called show formulas. So if I click that, it will make everything big enough to where I can see my formulas. So when you save it, okay, I'm going to hit save my changes, and then I can upload it. I need to make sure to do my print settings before, and then I'll save changes again. So now let's go to our print settings. So I come to the page layout tab, go to the page setup. Okay, let's see what we need. I'm going to check my print settings first. So we need grid lines. We need to center on the page horizontally and vertically. We need to landscape, turn it to landscape and fit to one page. Okay, so let's pull that out again. We have landscape, we have fit to one page. On the margins tab, we need to make sure both of these are checked horizontally and vertically. And then on the sheet tab, we have printing the grid lines. So if I look at it, let's see if it'll do a print preview since I'm not connected to my printer here. Nope. Okay. Mine will not do it since I'm not connected to the printer. Okay. So that is what it should be. And then you make sure you save your changes again once you have changed those print settings, and you can save it and upload it. So hopefully this helps. If you were able to watch it all the way through and you were listening, give me, when I come back to school, tell me the keyword of, let's see, what would be, tell me happy Wednesday when I come back, and I'll give you a piece of candy if you watch this all the way through. Okay, hope you'll have a good day.